And I was at the age of like 16, 17 or something like that. My focus on building a big business, I knew that you needed to improve your habits. If you go to the club and drink alcohol, you cannot wake up early. You need to have routine, all of those kinds of things. The only friends that could relate to me and vice versa were the Muslims around me at that age. I had quite a lot of Muslims at my school. I mean, they were not the best practicing Muslims, but they were on their deen. They were praying, they were doing Ramadan. And I mean, the more and more I surrounded myself with them, the more I started to see the common interest that we had. But they had a structure and a routine that was for the deen, for the sake of Allah, for something higher. For me, it was like for worldly matters. I think my whole journey of getting more interested in Islam, because in the beginning was just me having interesting conversations. I was really interested. I loved reading books and always really interested in life. So I could have really great conversations with the Muslims around me. My parents sometimes made fun of me in a nice way back then. They said, like, the only friends that you have are Muslims, like how does that work? I was like, I don't know. I find good values, good principles, and they have really respect for their mother, for their family, and it felt like coming home. Even though I had nothing to do with the religion back then, we didn't really have deep conversations about religion specifically, but I just felt something there. And that was the beginning of really getting me, year by year, getting more interested in Islam. But every year, we were like hanging out all week. And then once a year, you have like Ramadan coming up. So they were like, oh, no, we're not going to hang out right now. Or maybe you can come over at our place, or not eating. Or so there was one place that we always ate lunch and have those conversations, but we couldn't have lunch. So I was like, okay, what do I do now? Because then they were fully dedicated, even though, and I think that's the beauty of Ramadan as well, even though you're lacking a little bit in your deen or whatever, that month is like always giving a boost to the whole ummah. But also in the place where I come from, you have a lot of events that are hosted during that month. And also after that month, you see a lot of events happening. But it dips a little bit before that. I don't know if you noticed that as well. Mm-hmm. Especially it's maybe because we're in a smaller city. But during Ramadan, you have every evening, there's something happening, something amazing. I just started joining those kinds of things and started joining iftar, the meal, breaking the fast together with some families. And then I was like, okay, maybe if I join iftar, let's then fast one day as well.
SubhanAllah.
Yeah, and then a year later, I was like, okay, let me join a full month. They're just fasting, they're the only friends that I'm having, so let's just join them on their routine out of respect and out of challenge as well. I was like, let's just do it. I'm like...
You sound quite competitive. Maybe a bit of it's like, if they can do it, I can do it. Right? Yeah.
Also, I really saw it as a challenge back then. I said, okay, if you are going to pray 5 times a day, I'm going to do meditation 5 times a day. I really said that.
That's your entrepreneur coming out, your competitive side, yeah.
And you have in business, you have these terms of monk mode or focus mode or deep focus, deep work. And I saw that month of like really committing to my goals. Also like reading a lot of books and things like that. But still not really focused on the religion. I had the interest started to grow a little bit, but also something good to say, like I was really interested in not getting knowledge, learning about life, but I always saw religion as some sort of fairy tale or anything like that. I mean, I didn't had anything to do with it, but it's probably because the environments that I was that I grew up in, because religion wasn't really common in there. I mean, my family has a Christian background, but nowadays not really practicing that anymore as well. So I grew up as an atheist, like asking a lot of questions. Then Ramadan came again 3 years later. I already joined one Ramadan. The Ramadan before that, I also
So you went through a few Ramadans before you decided
to
convert eventually. Interesting. And the beauty of our religion is that your friends, your Muslim friends that are around you, they can be getting all the reward from the things that you're doing right now, right? Because قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم من دل على خير فله مثل أجر فاعله, which means that whoever guides to a good deed has a similar reward to the person that did that thing, right? And that's the beauty of our religion, that there's and the thing is, because we're growth orientated, both of us, the beauty of Islam is there's no limit. Like, you're never going to become a perfect Muslim. So there's always something you can do. There's always something you can learn. You can always fast more. You can always study more. And I feel that Islam is a great religion for people that are very growth orientated and growth focused, right? And I think for you, it was a matter of like you wanting to be the best in everything. You're like, I want to be the best all rounder, and maybe that's why, you know, Allah planted the seed of Islam in your heart. Because the thing is, we don't choose to be Muslim. Allah guides us to be Muslim. That's what people forget. They were, you know, in business as well. When people start talking about their success, they always jump to, this is what I did. I did this. I worked 20 hours a day. I did this. But I'm like, above all of this, the reason that you did well is because of Allah's tawfiq, because Allah wanted you to do well. He gave you permission. He gave you permission to do well, right? So it's really important for all of us to always remember that, alhamdulillah. So, so amazing. So you went through a few Ramadans without converting, but it seems like Islam slowly grew in your heart over a few years, by the sounds of it, right? It was very organic, right? Yeah. So when did it start? When was the first Ramadan that you got involved, and when did you convert?
I'm converted now 1.5 years ago, I guess, after after that Ramadan. So that's,
I think
like
you're 23 now, right?
I'm 23.
So you would have been 21?
Yeah, I think I was 20 or 19 when it started for me to join one iftar or just one day. And then year by year, like really Ramadan was the month that every time I got back into that flow and getting more interested. And the Ramadan before I converted, I was like, okay, my friends were already texting me, oh, it's Ramadan. So they were already like, you need to prepare. Like they somehow thought I would join every single year. For me, it was like I made that commitment already, so why not do it again? But this time I was like, let's not see it as a challenge. Let's just live like how they're living. I was like, okay, I'm going to fully give myself over, you know. I'm like, okay, I will go to the mosque. I will start praying with you. Give me a Quran. I will read it. And from there, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala opened my heart, man. I mean, from there, I couldn't stop practicing. After Ramadan, I couldn't stop praying. I myself got really interested. Maybe your channel was even on my For You page as well. Because once your algorithm starts seeing that you're interested, subhanAllah, you have so beautiful reminders, good videos. And the more and more I saw and the more podcasts I listened, the more books I was reading and the videos that I was seeing like that, I was like, this is the truth. There's no way around it.